I walk through the shadow of death left to fear. This is a journey through the halls of hell.
Yes people, what is good? I am BA, just back with another little review this week to break up the Game of Thrones reactions, and then we will be back into the reactions as normal next week. So this week I want to talk about Adolescence, which obviously just came out on Netflix a few months ago. Everybody's currently talking about it, and I don't usually check out shows as soon as they come out, just in case they get picked, for my reactions or something like that. I have to sort of put shows to the side. And I actually went into this show not knowing the gimmick. So in case you don't know, the gimmick of this show is each episode is a singular camera shot throughout the entire episode, acted out by all the cast, all the extras, the timing of the camera movements. Everything is done with no digital trickery, all performed like a live play in camera, and it is absolutely incredible. I know the director and Stephen Graham had previously worked on something called Boiling Point, which was a similar movie with a singular camera shot, but I haven't seen that yet. Maybe it's something I'll react to in future. But I just thought this was technically, first of all, so brilliantly done. I was actually gobsmacked watching it after I noticed what they were doing and just how great it was, how they had done it. Specifically certain moments where they clearly switched from a man operating the camera to some sort of drone device, and then it would lift off into the air, and oh my god, so brilliant. So the premise of this show is armed police raid a suburban household. The father, played by Stephen Graham, has no idea what's going on, nor does his wife, nor does their daughter, and the police instantly bust into the son's room and arrest him for murder. And the first episode basically takes place from the raid in the house into the police van, the journey to the police station, and him getting booked into the police station and then taken into his initial holding cell. And again, keep in mind, this is all one camera shot. The cameraman gets in the van, he gets back out at the police station. It's insane. And I forget the name of the kid, but seriously, shout out the child actor. While I was watching it, the first thing I thought in my head was, man, it's already a lot to demand a really great take out of a child actor, especially if you're asking him to do it in one take, and especially if you're asking him to wait, 45 minutes for the moment to say the thing. And just hats off to the child actor, man. He absolutely crushed it considering what he was up against. Hats off to him. And the whole thing starts with a sort of did he or didn't he premise, but as soon as the police lead the kid and Stephen Graham into the initial holding cell and show him the footage of him literally stabbing the girl, we as the audience and everyone else knows it is him. So there's no big twists or anything like that. It's just a realistic portrayal of how it all unfolds. And it's kind of heartbreaking because in that first episode, when it's just Stephen Graham and his son alone, he looks him in the eyes and he says, look man, I don't care what's happened, just please tell me the truth. Did you do it? And the kid still looks in his dad's eyes and says no, just before he's walked into a room and shown video of him in fact doing it. And it is realistic though, because these people just cannot face the reality of their own evil. They will crawl under any rock available to hide from the cold hard truth. They can't even utter the words of what they truly did or why they truly did it. They would much rather make up some bullshit. The second episode takes place across the high school that all the kids go to, and it's about two detectives going around the school and asking the close friends group of the kids involved all sorts of information regarding the murder. And again, just the camera traces through this school, focusing on different people as they pass one another in hallways, etc. And we get a little bit more information as to the reasons behind it, but not too much. Just that he's clearly got dumb impressionable friends who read dumb shit online, and he's a dumb impressionable kid that reads shit online. And that's what dumb impressionable kids have done since the dawn of time. I guess just reading shit online sparks their ability to do dumb shit in a different way. Then episode 3 takes place in a juvenile detention centre of some sort, and a criminal psychologist has been brought in to interview the kid. And the whole episode almost takes place in an interrogation room between the two. Also, shout outs to literally one of my best friends since I've been 18 years old, Bigg Taj, who shows up in episode 3 as the lift security guard. He gets a couple lines of dialogue, and thanks to him we get a little bit of backstage footage that no one else has seen before. Check this out.
And there's a lift that I do my scene in, which is cool. Not a real lift, obviously. Yeah.
And Taj also explained to me, you know, he went down to film for 3 weeks. On the first day, they would rehearse 5 minutes of the material, and the director's there rehearsing his camera footwork while the cast are rehearsing. Second day, they'd rehearse 10 minutes, then third day 15, then by the end of the week, they would be rehearsing the full hour, and then I guess they would do dress rehearsals for a week, and then on the third week, they would do the filming week, where they would shoot 2 takes per day for 5 days, and I guess after the 5 days, they would pick the best one. He also told me that because episode 3 was entirely a set, the lift didn't actually move, and as soon as his 2 lines of dialogue was up, he was able to just walk out of the lift and walk behind the set and sit and chill. I was worried my friend had to stand in a fucking lift for an hour. It was all good. But yeah, as I said, this episode primarily takes place in this interview between the psychologist and the kid, and it's so well done because you can tell he's a little attention seeker. He's playing the victim at certain points and just being your typical kid at other points, and then there's one moment where he snaps and tries to scare her, and I think that's when we see that he has this capacity within himself to commit such acts. He clearly has a little short fuse. He just does not have full control of himself when he loses his temper. And seriously, once again, the child actor absolutely knocked it out of the park in episode 3. A brilliant performance by him and the woman who was playing the criminal psychologist. Another great episode. And a lot of people don't like the last episode, but I really do, because it drifts away from the sort of cast you're used to. Now we're just left with Stephen Graham, his wife and his daughter, and we're shown how that affects a family when people know that their kid is really responsible for taking the life of another kid in the community. They're just condemned in every way, and it takes place on Stephen Graham's birthday, and they have to wake up even on his birthday and deal with the ridicule they feel from their community now because their son is a murderer. And the hardest hitting moment of that episode is when Stephen Graham gets a call from his son in the detention centre, and the son lets him know, like, look, I'm changing my plea to guilty. And that's the moment where the son finally tells him the truth. Not that they didn't know already, but you know, that's his son saying to his face, I am a murderer. Happy birthday. You know, as if he phoned him on his birthday to tell him that. Wow. And yeah, the last episode's pretty bleak, but damn, we are dealing with some bleak subject matter, so what's a writer to do, I guess? You know, I completely sympathise with the guys, and I felt like that was a fitting way to close the mini-series. So yeah, all in all, this series, first of all, sheds light on strange subcultures which are cropping up in high schools of children of strange young ages nowadays, like the incel community, the red pill community, etc. And also just, you know, how easy it is, regardless of whether it's the last 2 communities I mentioned or any other community, how easy it is for kids who feel like lost souls just to gravitate towards communities which might potentially be dangerous online just to feel like they're a part of something. And on top of that, it is literally a technical masterpiece. Like, I cannot believe they achieved what they did. It sets the bar so high, it makes all one long take things that I can remember historically now look shit in comparison. You know, the famous opening of the Nicolas Cage movie Snake Eyes, which I believe is a 15-minute one take, or Warrior King, when Tony Jaa goes from the hotel floor up 3 stories, and it's an actual choreographed fight scene in a one take. So imagine how fucking hard that was for those guys to get right, with all the little props they had to smash and all the stunts that had to go right. It is insane. If you haven't seen that, actually, go on YouTube right now and type in Warrior King one take fight scene. It is, again, a technical marvel. So yeah, much respect for what they did in this show. Managing to stretch that concept to an hour is otherworldly. And if you haven't seen this show, I highly recommend you check it out, and I will be back next week with more reactions. As always, like, subscribe and all that goodness. Please come and join the Patreon and become part of the gang. Until next week, I've been BA. Peace.